creation. In the beginning, there was nothing. And then God spoke and created life, animals, trees, the moon, the sun, night and day, humans, and fish. Adam and Eve, the first humans, were given the Garden of Eden, and was told to eat from any tree in the garden but the tree of life. But the devil, in the form of a serpent, convinced Eve to eat from the tree, and she convinced Adam. Therefore, sin had entered the world. They had disobeyed God, and he exiled them from the garden, placing a guardian angel at the gates to ensure that they would never return. So many years later, they had two sons, Cain and Abel. Abel, the eldest, gave God his best in offerings, but Cain did not. God accepted Abel's, but not Cain's, which made Cain jealous. He took his brother out one night and killed him, or Abel. Many, many years later, no one was faithful to God but Noah and his family. So God instructed Noah to make a huge ark that would house his family, 2 of every animal, and keep them safe from the flood that he would make. So God sent a flood to destroy the earth. And Moses and his family and 2 of every animal were safe aboard the ark. For 40 days and 40 nights, it rained. And Noah and his family, 2 of every animal. So when it stopped raining, they came out of the ark and sent 3 doves to go search for land. When one dove returned with a twig, they knew there was land. And God sent a rainbow as a promise that he would never flood the earth ever again. So years later, people got together, many years later, people got to get together to make a huge tower that stretched up into the sky. The tallest tower that was ever made then. Everybody from all nations came together to make it, but they were not faithful to God, and he made them all speak different languages, so they wouldn't understand each other, and therefore they named it the Tower of Babel. This is how languages came into the world. So many years later, Abraham and Lot, 2 brothers, they were given land to choose from, and Abraham let his brother Lot choose which land he wanted. And of course, Lot took the flush and green land and gave his brother Abraham the desert. There was a city called Sodom and Gomorrah that worshipped idols and did terrible things. So God destroyed it and let Abraham and his brother and their wives escape. But Lot's wife did not, looked back, and she was turned to a pillar of salt. So Abraham was tested with his son Isaac. He was told to sacrifice him to God as a test. But before Abraham did, right before he did, God sent a cow to sacrifice, for Abraham to sacrifice. Many years later, Esau and Jacob, the sons of Abraham, Jacob tricked Esau into giving him his birthright and his blessing. This caused Jacob to run away after he'd done so, because his father and Esau were very mad at him. made up many years later. But Jacob's descendants, the brothers of Joseph, the 12 tribes of Israel. Joseph had two dreams. One, him and his brothers were all out in the field, and his brothers Habales bowed down to his who stood up. And then in his second dream, the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowed down to him. This was to signify the sun as his father, the moon as his mother, and 11 stars as his brother. None of his brothers liked him, so they decided to get rid of him. They originally were going to kill him, but one of his brothers said not to, and they stripped him of his robe that his father had made and threw him into a well. After that, they came back and sold him into slavery into Egypt. He was given to a slave owner who liked Joseph. His wife tried to commit adultery with Joseph. Joseph refused. So she spread lies of Joseph, which sent him to prison. In prison, however, he still remained faithful to God, and he even helped in the prison. A cupbearer and baker were both sent there. They had dreams that Joseph interpreted. The cupbearer's dream was this. This was to signify that he would get his job back in 3 days. Or the chief baker's dream that he would die in 3 days. Then, many years later, the Pharaoh had two dreams. One where good cows came out of the water and bad cows came out of the Nile. The good cows ate the bad cows, and no one could interpret what this meant. Then, his second dream, 7 good wheat appeared, and 7 bad wheat appeared. These both meant that there would be 7 years of good harvest and 7 years of famine. Joseph interpreted this, and the Pharaoh put him in charge of collecting food for those 7 years to be ready for the famine for 7 years. He was put in in command of Egypt. And then when the famine came, his brothers came asking for food from Egypt. Joseph recognized them. They did not recognize him. He invited them to dinner, and they talked. They told him that they had another brother that stayed at home, Benjamin, the youngest. Joseph really wanted to meet his new brother, so he sent them away and ensured that they would come back with him. And they brought their whole family, and he revealed to them that he was Joseph, and allowed them to stay with them and feed them. So many years later, Joseph died, and that brings us to the end of Genesis.